Hey, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the PFF College Football Show. We have a very special interview for you guys right now. Not done by Dawn, not done by me, but done by the great Trevor Sikkema, our lead draft analyst. And speaking of the NFL draft, his number one prospect in the 2025 NFL draft is joining the show right now. That is Michigan defensive tackle Mason Graham. We personally can't wait to watch it, and we can't wait for you guys to watch it as well. So let's get to Mason Graham, the number one player in the 2025 NFL draft.
Mason, I love to start off these interviews by asking the players to kind of take it back a little bit. Let me know how you got in the game of football, right? Where it all began, whether it was maybe a family member, some pee-wee ball, high school ball, wherever it was for you. How'd you get started in football? How did that kind of come to be?
No, I just think I come from a sports family. My mom played, volleyball growing up. My dad played, like low level basketball and stuff, but they've always been athletes and stuff. So, they got me started at a young age. So I started playing football when I was 5. Just some Pop Warner leagues. I was always, probably one of the bigger kids. So I had to play a lot of the time when I was younger. I had to play with the older guys, because I was heavier. So, I just did that until, I got to high school, and then kind of just grinded throughout high school and just took things from there.
So I watched an interview yesterday where I think it was your high school coach who was talking about how you actually wanted to play linebacker originally,
Yeah.
and you were kind of pissed that he was moving you to the defensive line because you wanted to play linebacker. So where did the love for linebacker come from, and then how did that transition go from playing linebacker? I mean, did you like through Pee Wee ball and like JV ball, like were you playing linebacker, and then did you switch in high school?
Yeah, like growing up until high school, I always used to play like running back, linebacker, more of those positions. So, I always looked up to guys like Ray Lewis, and I wanted to be like those type of guys making those type of plays. But slowly grew into my body and realized that I wasn't going to be a linebacker. And my coach kind of had that vision for me of, being a defensive lineman, offensive lineman. So in high school, I just played both ways, and I like D line more than I like O line. So. Yeah, really just taken off of it.
Did you play any other sports growing up? Are you a basketball guy, baseball guy, soccer, anything like that?
Yeah, I always played, a bunch of sports growing up, going from like tournament to tournament. My freshman year, I was playing 5 sports. So I did basketball, rugby, football, track, and wrestling. Yeah. So
What'd you
those,
do? What'd you do in track? Were you like sprinting? What were you doing in track?
like in practice, I used to run with all the smaller guys. I'd do the running, like I'd do some of the running, and then I'd go throw. Like so I'd run like the 200 meters with them, the 150s, the 100 meters. I even ran like a 300 meters sometimes, but
Dang.
I don't know, I like doing stuff that's not like fitting to me. Like I know I'm a lineman, I'm not supposed to be doing that, but I like, doing that type of stuff, even like when the guys are throwing balls out here, I like running routes. Like I like doing stuff like that. Just it's just fun to do, switch up from what you're used to.
I love it. I love it. I think that natural athleticism definitely shows up for you. So talk to me a little bit about wrestling. I read your wrestling background. I said before, I do a lot of scouting for us at PFF. Anytime an offensive or defensive lineman has a wrestling background, I pay attention because a lot of those guys have, great core strength. They're great with their hands. It just feels like they have such great body control. And when you're playing in the trenches, it feels like it's so paramount. So how'd you get into wrestling? What you because you said you got into football at a very young age. So how'd you get into wrestling? I read that you were wrestling all 4 years throughout high school, but you can't believe everything you hear on the internet. So I figured I'd ask you. So what was your time like during wrestling, and how'd you get into it?
Yeah, so I basically just started my freshman year of high school. Kind of goes along with my head coach's like ideology of he wants, his players not just to play football. He wants them to get into other sports and, just be around sports. And it's good for, just off-season conditioning but in my position, wrestling is good for linemen and conditioning too. So he thought I really didn't want to do wrestling, but he really, like I didn't like the whole idea and stuff, but my parents pushed me to do it, and my coach and some of my other teammates were doing it as well. So I was like, it's not gonna hurt. It's only gonna get me better. But yeah, I couldn't wrestle 4 years. I wrestled 3 because I early enrolled here, so I missed that last season of the wrestling. So
Gotcha. I read that you what, had a couple of, was it state championships or what was it? So you were obviously you're pretty good at it.
Yeah, I would say I was decent. I don't people like hype it up to be something I feel like it wasn't because I just did it, I did it for fun. I would just show up on the mat like I really didn't have much technique. I won league a few times, placed in CIF, went to the state tournament, but I mean I was decent, but I wouldn't say I was like the state champion. Like I didn't do any of that stuff where everyone
Gotcha.
started doing it.
Gotcha. So I also read that you, well, I actually, I heard this from your high school coach when I was watching this interview. He was saying, hey, if you're good in the trenches, we basically make you play both sides of the line. You play defense, you play offense. So
Mhm.
I saw that you play a little bit of offensive tackle as well. Did you ever think, hey, maybe I'd be an offensive tackle, or were you just a defensive guy at heart through and through?
Uh, I always kept my mind open, but my heart was for D line. But my high school team, the position we were in, we played in the best conference I think in the country. For just high school football, like, playing like Mater Dei, St. John Bosco,
Yeah.
like Corona Centennial, like teams like that. And like my team specifically, we didn't have we probably had like a group of like 6 to 8 really talented players. There's some other guys, at Arizona, like Noah Fafita, he played on my team, Tilton
Yeah.
Millen, Jacob Manu, Kean Burnett. So all those guys, they're all on the same team with me, and we all, bought into the idea like if we're gonna beat the Mater Dei and the St. John Bosco's, we're gonna have to, play both ways, and we really didn't care. We just wanted to, win at the end of the day, and it was a fun time.
So, how does a kid from California end up in Ann Arbor? Right? I'm sure you were. I feel like you had to be heavily recruited when you were in California, and Michigan's a long way from the state of California. So, how'd you end up in Michigan?
Yeah, during high school, I wasn't really heavily recruited. I was going into my senior year, I was committed to Boise State. Really didn't have many Power Five offers, mostly just, Mountain West schools look at me, one Pac-12, like Oregon State, that was about it. But after a few games into my senior year, everyone started, noticing that I was a good player and started recruiting me pretty late. But it really came down to like the three schools were like Oregon, USC, and Michigan. And I came on my visit to Michigan, and it was kind of history from that. Came to Washington, Mays out. It was great scenery, great atmosphere. Um, then it has the best academics and best athletics. So, and I wanted a big part of my decision was I wanted to, try something different. Get out of my comfort zone, not stay, in California, LA, where I know everything's gonna be, nice and everything's gonna be, I'm gonna be comfortable where I'm at. I just wanted to try something else.
I love it. I love that. So, let's get into your game a little bit here. Now that we've sort of gotten you to the point where you're at Michigan, just from scouting you and watching your tape, man, your hands are insanely fast. I mean, it's
Mhm.
just it feels like you know exactly where they need to go. It feels like they're moving at speeds that offensive linemen can't handle, especially when you're getting across the face on guys. Where's that come from? I mean, have you always just had naturally fast hands? Has it been something that has been a calling card of your game going back to high school, or was it something that you really dedicated and worked on, or coaching or watching somebody or watching their tape? Like, talk to me about the hand usage that you've got, because going into just this is your junior year, it feels like it's a big time weapon for you already.
Yeah, just I would say the biggest thing for me was probably, just throughout high school, I was, blessed to have great coaches. Feel like one of the main reasons I got to where I'm at is because of my D-line coach in high school named Kelly Talavao. He played in the league for a little bit for the Ravens, bigger guy, but there'd be sometimes where we would just, he was my D-line coach at high school too, but so we would do our high school practice, and then, a few of us we would just go do extra work for a few hours at the nearby park every day. So we just do it like work as hard as we can on all the fundamental stuff. And I feel like I basically did that every day for 4 years. So it's kind of muscle memory at this point, and I just try to keep on improving, sharpening my game and stuff like that.
Talk to me about your favorite pass rush move, if you have one. I mean, maybe it is something as simple as getting off the line of scrimmage and moving from one side of the offensive lineman's body to the other before he even realizes what's going on, or I'd love to hear you. It feels like I mean, your pass rush win rate is so high in our system. You've had so much success rushing the passer, especially towards the end of last year. So, do you have a favorite pass rush move? Not to give anything away. I mean, I don't want you to give any away your secrets or anything like that. But is there something that you continually go to because you go, yeah, I feel like if I hit this, nobody can really block me.
Yeah, I feel like I don't really hit the same. I don't have like a calling card for like a move, I would say. I just like being able to switch it up on the lineman, a lot of times you'll see me, stutter them or shake them or even go through them. So I just like being able to like have enough moves in my arsenal to like switch it up and, be effective. And I feel like that's, helped me over the years.
You guys obviously had an incredible journey last year, with the season going the way that it did. And, it's a Big Ten championship. You're beating Ohio State. You're going to the college football playoff, all that. So you played in a ton of big games last year. Do you
Mhm.
have like a moment just for yourself? I know you maybe would say like, hey, hoisting the national championship, obviously that's a big team goal and everything. But was there like a play for you specifically, whether you were playing Bama or Ohio State, or maybe it was in the Big Ten championship or even in the national championship against Washington? Was there a play that you made that you think about immediately when you think about like last season? It's just like, damn, that was my favorite play that I was able to make for us last year.
I'd say, that one play, that one TF tackle for loss I had against Alabama in overtime. I feel like that was a pretty big play, just for how that game was going. They were kind of driving the ball on us. It was overtime. We had just scored. They had made some chunk plays, and I feel like that kind of just set them back. And then we were able to like regroup, and then, you guys saw what happened. Everyone saw what happened. So I feel like that was a big part, and I always think about that play.
I read this. Jim Harbaugh once said that you and your teammate Kenneth Grant were, quote, gifts from the football gods. What's it like going up against opponents every single week? And it's like you and Grant. I mean, you two are some of the best interior defensive linemen in the country, and you happen to play on the same team. You happen to be teammates. You guys like feed off of each other's energy. Like what's that chemistry like getting to play on the D line with the two of you standing next to each other?
Yeah, and I feel like it's kind of like, I think someone kind of just said this to me earlier. It's like a peanut butter and jelly. We kind of just go together, we just work off each other, we know our strengths and weaknesses. When we're both on the inside, they can't really, focus all the attention on just one of us because, everyone along our front's gonna, I feel like can get the job done. And, it's not just me and Kenneth that, make this defense run. It's really everyone, the edges, we have explosive linebackers. Obviously you stated Will, so it really helps playing with those guys, and especially, specifically like KG and the other edges that we have on our team. It really, helps. We just work off each other.
Michigan for a handful of years now has had so many like high motor guys on the defensive line. And you don't always get that. Like Aiden was a big one. Obviously, you mentioned Brandon Graham a while ago. He's another example. Chris Jenkins Jr. Like there's just so many guys that I feel like have come through Michigan's program that are just these high energy, high motor, play through their whistle type of guys. Where's that come from? I mean, because very clearly it's like it's some sort of a culture mentality thing that when you get to Michigan, it's just, it feels like it's the standard. So like I'm asking you as somebody who I've watched now be one of those high motor guys, where does that mentality come from to play with that kind of intensity?
I just feel like it comes from within. I don't think anyone pushes it. It's just, how I mean, obviously Michigan preaches, all the effort stuff and like that, like just like every team I'm sure does, but I feel like it's just something inside of, those people that want to play super hard. Like it's just how you play. It's not really it just happens. Like I just try to play as hard as I can all the time and be in the best shape I can be to be able to go as hard as I can every play. So I feel like that was just, something inside of, you know, me, Aiden, Chris, like Brandon Graham, like guys like that. I just feel like, it's something inside of us. Like that's just the way we play.
Is there a particular, maybe it's a former teammate of yours at Michigan, maybe it's a guy at the NFL level that you love watching? Is there somebody that you've learned so much from, whether it's from afar, watching their tape, or maybe, like I said, it was a teammate who was able to kind of take you along over the last couple of years? Is there somebody that you think that you've learned a lot from, either at Michigan or at the NFL level over the last couple of years?
Yeah, just some guys that I like watching on film. Quentin Williams, for the Jets. I really like watching him. I feel like we kind of have similar play styles. Like Jalen Carter, he's an explosive player. Like I try to honestly try to model my game after him. He switches it up. Um, and then just guys from that I felt I've built a relationship with was like Mozzie Smith. He was here. Chris Jenkins, obviously, those guys when I came in as a freshman, they knew, I was one of the better players and I was gonna have to play. So they really brought me under their wing, showed me what to do, taught me everything I know. So that's just the position I am now, and I'm trying to teach those younger guys the same thing.
When you're not at the practice facility, when the pads aren't on, when you're not rehabbing or strength training or whatever it is, what do you like getting into? Like video games, fishing, reading, like cars? Like what do you like getting into? What's some of your hobbies you got off the field?
I used to be like a huge gamer, but I feel like I kind of just burnt myself out from all the gaming stuff. But it's really just, we'll all go to someone's house and we'll all just hang out or, just time to myself. I'm usually tired a lot, so I sleep a lot, but when I'm not doing that, I'm with all my teammates, all my friends, all the guys that, I like being around and they like being around me. So just building relationships with those guys that yeah.
Fill in the blank here. For 2024 to be successful, Mason Graham and the Michigan Wolverines will blank. What is your answer there of what a 2024 successful season will look like?
Prove ourselves right. Just, leaning on each other. Like a lot of people have a lot of stuff to say about us and how we're gonna fall off and stuff like that. But, I feel like we know what we have in this room. We know what we have in Schembecker Hall in the facility. So, I mean, everyone looking from the outside in, like, doesn't really know what's going on. So, just proving ourselves right, not necessarily proving everyone else wrong, just proving our team, our coaches, our players, each other, prove ourselves right.
Hey, thanks for watching the PFF College Football Show. Before I let you go, though, we have an unbelievable deal for you guys right now. If you use the code CFB25, you get 25% off your PFF Plus annual subscription. We've got the 2024 College Football Preview Guide that you can find over at pff.com, featuring the best players in the country from all 70 Power 5 teams, plus 10 Group of 5 teams that have the best chance at making the college football playoff as well. You can also gain access to NCAA premium stats for historical games, teams, and player tracking dating all the way back to 2014, so the last decade or so of college football. All the stats you can hope for, you can find in PFF Premium as well. Also, you can be the GM of your favorite NFL team with our unbelievable mock draft simulator where you can draft up to 7 rounds of players for your NFL team. And if you want to dominate your fantasy league, you can do that as well using the best fantasy tools on the planet. All of that and more with your PFF Plus annual subscription, which you can find for 25% off right now with the code you can find in the description. Or if you want to go to subscribe.pff.com and use the code CFB25 at checkout. Again, you get 25% off your PFF Plus subscription. This won't last forever, so make sure you take advantage of it right now.